Tonight on Alaska's news source, avalanche concern is still at the top of mind in the Juneau area where First Alert Day is active.
And snow in Southcentral and the interior began to taper off this afternoon as the weather concerns in Southeast continue into the work week.
Plus, Southcentral is also seeing avalanche concerns. Experts explain the snowpack and why it may cause trouble. And a pond in the road? That's sure what it looks like on one Anchorage street as police close one lane due to hazardous conditions. Details ahead.
You're watching Alaska's news source.
The city and borough of Juneau says the evacuation advisory remains in effect, and forecasts show the avalanche concern continues after feet of snow and now inches of rain and melting. The CBJ's evacuation map shows downtown Juneau avalanche zones. This is up to date as of about 5 p.m. The CBJ says the risk may change with no warning. We have a link to the map in our live blog on our website. And the Red Cross says 40 people stayed at the Centennial Hall shelter overnight, and it will continue to be operational tonight. Meanwhile, Thane Road in Juneau has reopened since yesterday.
Our avalanche hazard remains elevated, but we haven't seen any additional avalanches in the last 24 hours that we've been able to detect with our avalanche detection system that we've installed along Thane Road.
While no avalanches have been detected on Thane Road in the last day, multiple avalanches have been confirmed in the Juneau area since these weather conditions started a few days ago, and that danger continues. In a moment, meteorologist Bailey Braun will have more details on the situation in Southeast Alaska as the area is under a First Alert Day. But first, DOT says that while there were a few avalanches detected in the Thane Road area, none reached the road itself. But it is stressing that it's still a danger for avalanches in the area, especially as precipitation is set to pick back up in the coming days.
We're continuously monitoring the weather, the forecasted weather, recorded precipitation amounts, recorded snow amounts, and using that to make our decisions on what the avalanche hazard is to Thane Road.
DOT says the main highways are in good shape. And we turn now to meteorologist Bailey Braun, who has details on the avalanche concern, but also explains how the southeast storm is impacting Alaskans into the interior.
Thank you, Michaela. Into Anchorage and Southcentral in general, all the way up into the interior, we did have some significant snowfall between 5 to 7 inches recorded in Anchorage alone, and those were all due to the same storm system that is affecting Southeast. But looking ahead, there's a second storm system coming your way into Juneau and the Southeast region. But the next concern is not only going to be this melting snowmelt as well as more of this rain, but also high winds. We do have quite a few high wind watches and warnings all across the region, but the biggest impact is going to move into the southern portion of the Panhandle. That storm is set to move in on Tuesday, and you can see on our projection about 60 to 70 mile per hour winds are forecasted. So brace for some of those strong winds to move in. Today, we actually did see some of those strong winds moving into Ketchikan with up to 70 miles recorded in some of these areas. Now, as we do look ahead, you can see all of this precipitation and this moisture is still staying anchored in Southeast, drying conditions all across the state from western to the interior. However, that second storm is set to move in again on Tuesday, and you can see right there more of that moderate to heavy rainfall is likely with some of the snow in higher elevation regions. So as we progress through this week, the avalanche risk and flood risk is only going to increase as more of that rainfall is set to accumulate. Between 2 to 3 inches of rainfall is forecasted for tomorrow. And again, most of this heavy rainfall is set to be anchored in the more southern portion of the Panhandle. But all across the state, otherwise, we're seeing clearer conditions and much colder temperatures. So looking ahead into the interior, and especially for western Alaska and Southcentral, much colder temperatures coming your way to start the work week, but more rainy conditions into Southeast.
And also in Southeast, the Ketchikan Gateway Borough says all flights for the rest of the day have been canceled due to weather. Like Bailey said, there's been high winds in the borough. The borough says the ferry will run as needed, and there was issues today with the ramps to get to and from the airport, but the borough says one is temporarily working. And a special avalanche statement is coming from the Chugach National Forest Avalanche Center. It says avalanche danger is considerable for the western Chugach and Kenai Mountains in and around Anchorage, Girdwood, Portage, Turnagain Pass, Summit Lake, Moose Pass, Lost Lake, and Seward. The statement went into effect at 6 this morning and continues at least until 6 tomorrow morning. It says very large human-triggered avalanches are likely. Yesterday, the Chugach National Forest Avalanche Center showed us what the snowpack looked like after 6 to 8 inches of new snow.
This is a little bit wind compressed in this area as we've gotten towards tree line. Underneath that, we have kind of the new snow from the last week and a half or so. And then you can see an obvious difference in the snowpack between these fresh layers and these old sugary faceted layers that have been sitting here, basically for a month in cold temperatures, getting weaker and weaker. In every pit that we've dug so far, we've had the test fail on this weak layer of facets underneath the crust on isolation.
In the interior, 6 people were taken to the hospital after a head-on collision on the Parks Highway near Nenana. That's according to Alaska State Troopers, who say it happened yesterday around 6 p.m. They say weather and blowing snow are considered to be a contributing factor. The crash involved a Toyota Highlander and a transit van. Troopers say the injuries ranged from serious to minor, and some people had to be extricated from the vehicles. Troopers say 2 of the injured were youth, and 1 adult was taken to a Seattle hospital. The highway was closed for more than 2 hours. And one Anchorage road looks like it has a pond covering 1 lane. APD said this afternoon that 1 lane on part of Elmore Road in Anchorage will be closed for the rest of the day. An APD dispatch supervisor said the creek has possibly frozen over and started flooding part of the roadway. Our photographer saw water on the roadway. APD says the right northbound lane of Elmore is closed between Dowling Road and MLK, saying the conditions are hazardous. The dispatch supervisor said this afternoon that there was at least 1 vehicle in distress call from around that area today. And snow has been piling up on Anchorage streets as multiple inches have come down and crews work to clear them. This is video from this morning. As of about 4 p.m. today, APD has reported 37 vehicles in distress since midnight, 8 crashes, and another 4 crashes with injuries. And Alaska State Troopers say a woman who was shot in Wasilla Saturday morning is reported to be in stable condition. The report of a woman with a gunshot wound came in just before 8 a.m. yesterday. Troopers say the report said she had been shot outside her home in the Meadow Lakes area of Wasilla. ASD says the investigation is ongoing and no ongoing threat to the public has been identified at this time. And in case you missed it, the Alaska State Troopers are drawing a line in the snow against mail thefts in Fairbanks. Working with federal postal inspectors, troopers are now developing bait operations to catch criminals targeting porches and mailboxes. Authorities say the surge is largely driven by the drug crisis as users steal packages to fund addictions.
I will tell you that the Alaska State Troopers are working in conjunction with our criminal suppression unit, with the U.S. Postal inspectors regarding mail theft. We take it pretty seriously, and it's affected me personally. I've had my mail stolen.
Police urge residents to report suspicious vehicles and use the USPS tracking app to monitor their deliveries.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.